Today I finished the first book in the Mistborn series called The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson and read by Michael Kramer. I was hesitant to read this book because Brandon Sanderson is like my favorite author, and The Way of Kings and Oathbringer, the two books that are out in the Stormlight archive, are basically my favorite books ever written. I just love them so much. They're giant and they're so detailed and intricate. So that's why I was kind of hesitant to take on another Brandon Sanderson series, and I was afraid that everything was going to get all jumbled up and mixed up and confusing. Thankfully, I can say that didn't happen. This book is much more simple, much more straight to the point, and very, very enjoyable. I regret putting it off for so long, but now I have this whole new series that I can listen to and enjoy. The audiobook is narrated by Michael Kramer, who's also my favorite audiobook narrator, and it's fantastic all the way through. He's probably tied for my favorite narrator because Roy DeTrice, that reads the Game of Thrones audiobooks, is also just a fantastic narrator, has so many different voices, but Michael Kramer's just main voice is this booming, deep, gravelly, awesome voice that it's just a superhero type voice, perfect for a fantasy novel.
That's one of the reasons the Lord Ruler built his city here. Lots of metals in the ground. I'd say that... Kelsier trailed off, frowning slightly. Something was wrong.
So there's some interesting parallels between the Mistborn series, and I've only listened to the first book, and the Stormlight archive so far. They both kind of have these slave figures that kind of break free and become heroes. They both have female characters that kind of learn that there's some magic inside of them that they can use. And there's also these empires that are kind of ruling and crumbling and the chess game of nobility. So I found it kind of interesting that they're almost similarly set, similar times. The Stormlight archive has some really interesting magic and really interesting technology and shard blades and all kinds of cool stuff. That's a 5 out of 5 book. Definitely recommend it. But here there's the magic system's really interesting. You swallow metal and you burn it, and that gives you different powers. So it was a fun ride all the way through. I was riveted, listening to as much as I could. Just such a fun ride. I'm so glad I checked it out, and I can't wait to get to the second book. But I'm gonna try to put a few different books in between and not try to binge listen to all 3 or 6. I think there might be 6 books out now in the Mistborn series. So the characters are really interesting in this book, and the plot is really interesting. Everything's interesting. It's a 5 out of 5. I highly recommend it. There's some funny stuff in the book where, listening to the audiobook, Brandon Sanderson must have written maladroit, the word maladroit, like 20 times in this book. You hear it almost every chapter. I don't know if it's like a subliminal thing or just a weird error type thing, but it kind of gave me hope that he's actually writing all these books. There's something weird. I have a weird suspicion about someone that can crank out all these fantastic stories and book after book after book, year after year, that he just has a team of writers, cranking it out for him. So little errors and a little bit rough around the edges actually gives me hope that he's doing it all, as weird as that may sound. The Final Empire is highly recommended. I don't know where it's going to go next. They've made their way through some enemies, and now there might be a bigger enemy on the horizon, and I can't wait to find out. Thanks for watching. Take it easy.